Thank you, and it's a pleasure and I'm looking forward to speaking to everybody. This is Apurv. I also have my colleague Gaurav here with me.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
So can you please tell us a little about yourselves, please? How did the journey for social selling start?
Sure. So my name is Apurv, and I'm the Vice President and Head of Corporate Marketing at HCL, which is a $7 billion company, and we work in IT services in 32 countries. We've always been very, very proactive in adopting digital solutions to the problems which the business is facing.
Okay.
And we have a global sales team predominantly selling into the B2B industry. And sales is quite expensive for us because the average sales guy costs about $500,000 to $750,000 in the field.
Okay.
So we are always trying to figure out more ways to enable them to sell more efficiently. And we started seeing that social media is only being used by consumer marketing brands to do, social media campaigns. But nobody is really thinking that ultimately there is no difference between B2B or B2C. People interact with people, and that's how selling happens.
Correct. Okay.
Right? So it's not a Pepsi or a Deutsche Bank which buys from HCL. It's a Jim from Deutsche Bank who might buy from Apurv in HCL.
Correct.
And we figured out that most of customers are getting onto social media, while very few firms are actually using social media to engage with them.
Okay.
And so that was the genesis of our thinking about how do we programmatically use social media to grow our business.
Okay, awesome. So I'm sure you have great insights to share with us. So we are looking forward to the session.
Excellent, Gaurav. Quick intro for you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hi, this is Gaurav, and I used to run the global digital marketing team of HCL Technologies with Apurv. And recently I have moved to the business side, so I'm now delivering the digital marketing services to the clients. And we launched a social selling program within HCL 2 years back. We have seen huge success.
Okay.
So look forward to share some of the learning.
Okay, awesome. So it's going to be a very interesting session. Yes, over to you guys. Thank you.
I just wanted to check with the audience. I don't know whether you can speak, whether the deck is clearly visible. And
So audience, please let us know if you can indeed hear your panelists today and whether it's visible. Yes, the deck is clearly visible. Yes. Awesome. Everything is clear. I think we can proceed.
Excellent.
Yeah. Wow, the audio is clear as well. That's great. That's great.
Excellent. So these are our Twitter handles. So I'm at A1PURVA and Gaurav is at Gaurav Kakkar 82. Feel free to tweet and show your love, ask questions. We'll make it a very, very interactive session. Now, I'm on slide 3, and I think it's almost like a truism. If you actually look at social media or social selling, both these terms are almost like oxymorons, because if you look at social media, media has always been social. Digital is only allowing people to really talk back to brands or engage with broadcasters like it was not possible earlier. Similarly, selling was always social. The only thing which digital is allowing you to do is it's allowing you to break barriers for gatekeepers and influencers and directly reach out to even people like, say, Anand Mahindra or a VC or a customer whom you're trying to sell to. Right? Now, this is an interesting study which was done by Corporate Executive Board, which says that for large and complex deals, there are almost 5.4 people involved in an average B2B buying cycle. So you're no more selling to one person, but you're selling to groups of people who are discussing with each other on social media, who are referring to blogs, who are tweeting at each other, and then collectively taking a buying decision, which basically means that your ability to influence a decision is directly proportionate to, do you understand all the people who are involved in the buying decision, and are you using social media to really reach out to them? Most of you would be familiar with Google's Zero Moment of Truth study, but I bet very few people would be aware that 75% of B2B buyers are now using social media to be more aware of vendors. And this is not only LinkedIn and Twitter, but Facebook is also now being used heavily along with Google+. Blogs, forums like Quora, almost 90% of decision makers, and I head marketing at HCL, and I have a lot of advertising agencies, direct marketing agencies, cold calling agencies, creative agencies reaching out to me. 90% of us are saying we would never respond to a cold call outreach. Now, what is really happening is people who are using social media, and this is a global study which was done by a top consulting firm, they've seen a 16% gain in the amount of revenues they are getting for their firms. They're 2x more likely to get promoted, and they're 51% more likely to exceed the quota. Now, this is a great slide to be used as a change management slide when you're trying to explain to your managers and bosses and chief execs what is the power of social selling and why do all of them need to be on social media and be very, very socially active. Slide 5 talks about our experience with social selling. We started this with a small pilot and then we increased it after seeing success to our global sales team. After the engagement started, about 1,395 new accounts were added. So we started engaging with almost 1,400 new companies as prospects. Our sales managers started interacting with 4,000 decision makers with whom they had no connections with earlier. And at the end of 1 year, about $350 million of new booking was influenced. Massive improvement in booking funnel. Our bid to win increased by 20% because customers knew us socially. Our sales guys were engaging with them much before the opportunity cycle, and our time taken to close an opportunity reduced by 26 days. So this was a very, very heartening feedback and analysis which we did after we completed a year of social selling at HCL. Our colleagues at IBM also, in fact, they were almost the pioneers of social selling. They did this with their top sellers, and they saw a huge increase in terms of people, prospects and customers following them on LinkedIn. On an average, 43% of people in the industry in B2B achieved their quota, and IBM salespeople trained on social selling had a 79% achievement. So huge increase. Now, Oracle is another company which has implemented social selling heavily, and they trained 23,000 salespeople globally on social selling. So it's a huge movement which is coming up now. The way we looked at social selling in HCL is we created our own proprietary framework, which was a very simple 6-step framework. First was making sure that all our salespeople, sales managers, marketing managers understood the social platforms and actually had social personas. What is surprising to me that even today there are some people who apply for social media jobs or sales jobs and they still don't have an updated LinkedIn profile or they are not active on Twitter. They just might have a Twitter profile. So we first helped everybody baseline and get on social platforms, and we will talk more about it. Second step was creating, collating and publishing content. Now, everybody finds writing very tedious, but the good news is that you don't need to write original content. At times, just by curating very high quality content, you can create your persona. Identifying the prospects whom you want to sell to. The fourth part was listening to topics which actually interest the prospects. How do you listen to them and then make an approach? And finally, once you make an approach, you start engaging with them, you nurture a relationship. Now, what I can tell you on this slide is, if the old world of sales was about ABC, always be closing, the new world of social selling has become about always be connecting. So it's still ABC, but you don't go in thinking that you will close a sale immediately. You're always in the business of listening to prospects, approaching them, offering views, engaging with them socially, so that when the deal cycle actually starts, you already have a favorable disposition in front of the prospect. Now, the earlier model used to be about awareness, interest, desire and action, or awareness, consideration and transaction. Now the boundaries between all of them have rapidly blurred. As the Google Zero Moment of Truth study shows that most of the buyers are aware of your brand or have already started forming opinions about the brand even before you have served them an ad. So social selling becomes even more critical. Moving on to slide 8. Now on slide 8, we basically look at what are the various top platforms which are important for social sellers. So you have LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, you have SlideShare, and Twitter and Google+. Now, it is very, very important that when you're creating your personality or persona, you have to first define what do you want to stand for. So most people think Facebook is personal, while LinkedIn is professional, and Twitter is just a fun place where you can troll people. Now, that doesn't hold true. When people start searching for you, your Facebook profile is also going to come up, your LinkedIn profile is also going to come up, and who knows that one drunken picture you have or which somebody uploaded and tagged you in is going to stop you from getting that order because somebody just saw that. So it is very important to have the same photo across social platforms, have a professional looking photo, or if you are a creative person, have a creative looking photo, and be very careful about what are people tagging you on, what are you posting across platforms. If you don't fill in all the fields on your social media platform, a lot of people do a quick creation. They just put they create a Twitter handle, and when you see their photo, it's just that standard Twitter egg. There is no photo uploaded. Now, these are small mistakes which reduce your searchability. So best practice is to ensure you have the same photo across platforms, and most platforms are interlinked with each other. That means you use a bit.ly link for your LinkedIn profile and you actually put it on your Twitter handle. You have the same photo everywhere, and all the information, including your location, your past information, school, education, interest groups are filled in. Now, when you do this, you should also start looking at how do you create content which you can share. And we are going to talk a little bit more about it. If you go to slide 9, you will see that Parag Samarth, who's one of the senior sales leaders in HCL, his profile is updated. So please make sure that you don't only talk about your personal stuff, but across Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, YouTube, you do remember to mention your company names. We already spoke about this, that your photos have to be same, and when people are searching for you, they should be able to come across your profile. On LinkedIn, we would strongly recommend that you buy a LinkedIn Sales Navigator license, and LinkedIn, because LinkedIn Vanilla is good, but Sales Navigator improves your searchability and gives you extra features like in-mails, which you don't get on LinkedIn Vanilla. Very, very important to define keywords. Now, if you don't define keywords around your persona, people might end up really not understanding what can you help them with or how can you help them. So if you are a blogger or a social media manager or a food critic, make sure that across your platforms, those keywords are very, very prominently displayed. It is very, very important to be consistently active. A lot of people become active in fits and spurts. So they will upload something, they will tweet, then they will not tweet, or they will do a Facebook post, they will not do. It is very, very important to every day set out some time, even if it is 15-20 minutes, and constantly post content, engage with people. A best practice is all these apps are on your phone now. So whether you are an iOS user or an Android user, the most efficient way is to not wait for connectivity or your laptop, but just download the applications on phone and use it from there. Now you will see that when you're publishing content, the content has to be in line with the persona which you had created in the first step. So my persona is a person who is interested in digital marketing or who has expertise in digital transformation. So a lot of content which I publish is around digital. And if you follow my handle, which is A1PURVA, you will see a lot of content, and it's a very consistent approach to publishing. With this, I would like to hand over to my colleague Gaurav, who's going to take the second part of the session, and then we'll open for Q&A and make it interactive.
Thanks a lot, Abu. So before I move to the next part of the session, I would like to define, my views about social selling. For me, social selling is an enablement program which allows you to identify your audience, connect with them, them and have dialogue with them, and in a very cost-effective and impressive manner. So it is not something which is only used by sales and marketing team, but also by a lot of students who wants to get a recommendation for higher studies, and entrepreneurs who wants to get funding. So it's not just sales and marketing enablement program. It can be used by anyone. So the next part is about stage 2, which is how do you craft a message on Twitter which has a maximum impact. So there, you can write a tweet by mentioning just a text on it, but an ideal tweet will contain all these things which are mentioned on this slide. It should contain 1 or 2 hashtags which are relevant to the topic. It should contain the link. It should also contain at least 20 characters for retweet. And also a call to action should be mentioned on the tweet. So in summary, the tweet should have 100 characters of length, 10 characters for the link, and 20 characters to be left for the retweet message. Moving to the next slide, slide number 15. So this talks about how can you get the content. So like HCL has very good social presence. So what we tell our sales team is go to the social presence of our company and leverage the content which is being published by the corporate marketing team. And the other sources of content can be Smart Brief in case you belong to the IT company, and Cloud. So most of you know about Cloud. It is a kind of scoring engine which gives you how do you perform across your social presence. So not only they provide the score, but also they provide a lot of rich content based on your profile and persona. Another 3 very good publishing content sources are Hootsuite. So Hootsuite allows you to track a particular Twitter handle, so you can follow a particular person and you can eliminate all the noise and just publish the content or retweet the content or engage with the prospect on the Hootsuite. And 2 other publishing tools are Paperly and WordPress. Now the third stage of social selling is identifying the prospect. So once you have created your social presence and once you have published the content, the next step, the third stage is identifying the prospects. And I have used this tool. So the name of the tool is Refill. In case you have used it, you just need to enter the Twitter handle of the individual and it gives you the social presence of the individual. So you can find out the Facebook handle, you can find out the Google Plus channel, and you can find out the LinkedIn profile of an individual by just providing the Twitter handle. Another tool which Apoor also mentioned was LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So what it does, it allows you to identify the prospect as per the demography. So you can search the people by company, you can search the people by their designation, you can search the people by their location. So you can apply a lot of combination while identifying the prospect as per your requirement. And Cloud also enables you to find out the prospect. So how it does it? You need to type in the URL cloud.com /# and / the Twitter handle of the individual. Once you do that, you will get the social presence of an individual. So once you have identified the prospect, the next stage is listen to the conversation which the prospect is talking about. So like on this slide, you can see Jeff Cobb, who's the Deputy CIO of John Hopkins, he tweeted something about SAP. So you can make out that the prospect is not very happy. And I'm referring to the second tweet wherein you can see Fiori is Italian for flowers. So you can find out the relevant contextual points, and you really need to carefully understand or listen what the prospect is talking about. So this will give you triggers and you will learn a lot about the prospect. Moving forward, there is another tool within LinkedIn which allows you to save the searches. And what it does, so let's say you are looking for someone who has joined the digital team of HCL Technology. What you can do, you can mention the designation within the save search, and you can put in that you can get an alert weekly or monthly once you put the data into this feed. So it is a very useful way to find out who are joining a particular company at what particular designation. So this is very relevant tool. So you should definitely try it. Now, another thing which you can do is once you keep on understanding and listening and understanding the persona of a particular prospect, you should fill in the persona template. So you can see a buyer persona template, which we have mentioned in slide number 22, wherein you will find lot of details about the prospect. You will find the professional info, you will find the personal details, you will find the like and interest. So these are very, very relevant in case you are going to start a conversation with the prospect. In case you are interested, we can forward you the template of this buyer persona. So this is the template of buyer persona. Let me know if you are interested, just tweet it to us and we will forward it to you. So just a quick check, I got a message that there is a network issue. Are you able to listen and view the presentation?
Yeah, the audience replying yes.
Okay, moving forward.
Oh, for some people, I
Great.
think the voice is breaking a little. So maybe if we could talk a little slowly, I think it'll be fine. You know, so
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Got it. All right, so moving to the next slide, which is slide number 24. So in case you are using LinkedIn, and I hope most of you are using it, and you have a network of prospects within the LinkedIn profile, what you can do, you can use a tool called Newsle. What it does, it provides you a relevant trigger about the press coverage of the individual. Like you can see here, I'm connected to Sandeep Kishore, and whenever there is a coverage of Sandeep Kishore within the digital media, I get an alert. So this is a very nice tool, and you can definitely use it to start a conversation or congratulate or send best wishes to the individual. Now we have reached to the second last stage of social selling, which is approaching the prospect. So once you have understand what the prospect is looking for, what are their interest areas and what are their likes and dislikes, now it is a relevant time to approach the prospect. And two very relevant tools for this are Hootsuite and LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Generally, what happens whenever we send a LinkedIn request to a prospect, we use a default message, which shouldn't be the case. What you should do is you should tell a story. You should include a personalized message like what is the context, why do you want to connect, and what is in it for the other person. And don't send more than one invite to the individual. And on the next slide, which is slide number 27, herein you can see an example of a very sophisticated LinkedIn invite being sent to an individual. So you can see that there is a personalized message in it. There's a context, why do you want to connect, and what is in it for the other person. So this is very, very relevant. In fact, yesterday I got some of the invites that we are looking forward to understand our views about social selling. So this is very contextual, and chances of acceptance will be higher. And finally, once you have approached the prospect and connected with the prospect, the last stage is engaging with the prospect. Now this is the right time when you can talk to them, when you can write a message to them, when you can ask them about what are their pain areas. So herein we have shown an example wherein the second tweet you can refer to, dear esteemed IT colleagues, anybody having experience with Aptio? If so, please let me know. And even if you don't have experience to a relevant technology, you can read about it, or you can ask your within your professional network. And in case you are really interested to reach out to this prospect, you should definitely reply back to this prospect with the relevant information about Aptio. So this can be conversation starter. This is a right trigger to initiate a conversation with your prospect. And two very relevant tools for this are Hootsuite and Brand24. So Hootsuite is a very important tool for social selling because it not only allows you to listen to the prospect and but it also allows you to engage with the prospect right at one dashboard. So within a single dashboard, you can listen and you can engage with the prospect. So these are some of the snapshot of our book, You Are the Key. And we got feedback from the CEO of Yum Brand and Professor Bala Chandran, and from LinkedIn, which you can see on the right hand side. And if you want to know more about our book, so this is the link, the bit.ly link, which you can follow, and in case you are interested, you can also purchase from this link. So that's it. We are done with all the stages of social selling. I think we have good enough time for discussion, and we can have a half an hour of question and answer round.
Wow, that's pretty good. Thanks guys for walking us through it very quickly, because I think the more interactive it is, the more fun it is for us as well to ask questions. So one question has come in. So Amrita wants to know if how is it that they can establish trust through online social selling, because part of any business is trust. So how do you do it online?
Very good. Yeah. So in case Amrita, you have observed within all these stages, starting from creating your presence to engaging, we haven't even touched the topic of selling. So we haven't even talked about selling to the client. Though the topic is called social selling, but there is no selling involved in any of the stage. And the right way to make the trust is always be ready to help the other person on social media. So you should never ever try to sell in the first go. First, you should definitely engage and understand what are the pain areas. Don't come with your sales page. First, identify why the prospect is looking for a particular solution, and how can you be helping him or her achieve their business objective. So just take this very simple objective into consideration, and you will be able to make a trustful relationship.
So we have one more question from Hitesh. How do you deal with privacy while social selling?
Okay, so in case your prospect or individual is present on social media, then by default they have accepted that they can be approached. So they have already submitted to the relevant social channel that whatever norms are applicable to that social channel, anyone can approach to them. So legally, you can approach anyone through social media, but that doesn't mean you keep on bombarding with to the prospect with so many messages. Mm-hmm. So you have to follow a very subtle way we just saw. Mm-hmm. So you need not worry about privacy, but the only thing which you need to worry about is that you don't bombard and you don't over-engage with the prospect when they are not interested.
Okay, so I think this answer can develop into two ways. One thing is what Aarti is asked. She says that when you contact someone saying that the article is good and interesting, what is the next level of conversation then?
Yeah, so the next level of conversation can be maybe if your prospect has published an article, so everyone would like to get acknowledged. So you should definitely say that the article was very interesting. Mm-hmm. And what you can do, you should do some homework and find out the similar articles. So mm-hmm. You can, the next conversation point can be, this is very interesting. Would you like to have your views on this, the other article which is on the similar line? And mm-hmm. the chances are very high that you receive a feedback or response.
Okay. Right. So the other way this privacy issue can be taken up is what about privacy of the self? For example, you have the same presence across all channels. So, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, and on Twitter. So if I do want to post some party picture that I want to, do you think then that will have a negative effect all the time? Then it means that I myself as a person will not have a legitimate presence online. Doesn't that problem come up?
So if you're, if you are present on social media, like I mentioned earlier, it is your responsibility to maintain what kind of personality you want to demonstrate, because ideally your online and offline personality should match, right?
Okay, yeah.
And because it's a very thin line difference between the two words, and the added advantage of digital media is that you can have the presence which is always there 24/7, and even if you are traveling or you are on the vacation, but still your digital presence will always remain on. And you should maintain a kind of personality which you think would be relevant for your buyer. So I always say that whenever you create a profile, don't create it for recruitment, don't create it for job searching, always create it for your customer. So it should, in case you are into sales and marketing, it should be customer-centric profile.
Okay.
You should always be talking and tweeting about that only. Yes, Facebook and other channels are very personal, so you should be definitely open. But I have also used Facebook in order to find very relevant details. Like I always use the your friend or your prospect is traveling to this particular destination, or they are interested in this particular event around you. So this is a great way to get the signal and find out a way and reach the same venue and start the conversation with them.
Okay. Yeah, very interesting. Thank you. So I hope that answers your question, Hitesh and Aarti. So we'll move on to the next question now from Bindu. How can you measure social success?
Wow. So I know about one platform, and anyone can use it. So if you go to Google and search about social selling index, this is one of the score which is given by LinkedIn, and it's a free tool. So once you do a Google search, you will get a. So you just need to log in with your LinkedIn credentials, and it will give you a score out of 100. And out of I guess anything above 80 is very, very relevant, good score.
Okay.
And I know some companies which are proposing to use in social selling score in the performance measurement of the sales professionals.
Oh.
So it's one of the global benchmark which you can use. The other measurement platform which we used at HCL, apart from the social selling score, we use the engagement rate, we use the reach index for the individual, we use the cloud score for the individuals, and that's how we were able to demonstrate the ROI of the program. So Apul, would you like to add anything with respect to the measurement of social selling?
Yeah, so I would say the way you should measure social selling is across the funnel. So you start from what is the number of impressions which are increasing, to CTRs, to actually getting down to engagement, shares. On Facebook it's PTAT. The difference between social media marketing and social selling is, in social selling you measure a lot of bottom of the funnel metrics, like what is the number of contacts created, what are the number of accounts created, what is the funnel which is created, what is the increase in size of opportunities.
Yeah, and just to add, one of the interesting thing that we did within HCL, so once we launched the program, we enabled our CRM system to tag a particular opportunity if it is coming through social channel or digital channel. So that's a very, very relevant way to prove the worth of the ROI of the program.
Okay. Yeah, that's
very important, because otherwise what happens is, at the end of the project or while the project is going on, you start getting a lot of questions on what is the ROI, and so if your CRM is not integrated and you're actually not measuring what is the attribution directly to social selling, that's a question which will always be tough to answer.
okay. Right. So there is I hope that answers your question. There is one question from Makarand Ramdas. How to explore digital social media in B2B? Any example? So Makarand, I think HCL is a great example, as are Apurva and Gaurav. So do you have anything to add to that? How to explore digital social media in B2B? Any other examples
So
you
when
have?
you say, yeah, so we've done various interesting campaigns. So HCL hires about 30,000 people every year.
Oh, okay.
And they're mixed with engineers, finance people, So globally we have about 120,000 employees and 30,000 is the gross hiring every year.
Okay.
So last year we saw that most of the job descriptions are very boring. They are, very lengthy pieces of text, and if you remove the company name or logo, all of them read the same.
Okay.
So what we said is we will create video job descriptions and they will be very witty, they will be interesting, and we created a campaign called Hirals, which was a combination of two words, hiring and viral videos. And we picked a popular theme. Like if you see the top 10 viral videos of all times, the common themes amongst them is that there is a sense of unexpected in them. Most of them either have babies or cats, stuff like that. And using those, we created very witty job descriptions. And that campaign did very well, and we got about 25,000 job applications. And these videos were very, very inexpensive, completely shot on iPhone. So each video was like 10,000-15,000.
Okay.
So if you search for HCL Hirals, you will get more information.
Okay.
But there is a lot of play for digital and social media marketing in B2B.
In fact, just to add, Sopur gave a very good example about the campaign. We not only use the campaign to create brand awareness, but also we use a lot of business campaign in terms of lot of demand generation we get from our digital presence. So for last 2 years, we are getting more than $1 billion of funnel from our digital channels.
Okay. Wow, that's a quite good number. It's a very good number. So, okay, yeah. I hope that answers your question. So if you do have more on that, please let us know in the questions box. Meanwhile, move on to the next question by Varun. What should be the frequency of the social approach, say tweet and replies, as people normally lose interest after the first touch point?
People what? They lose interest.
Yeah, people lose interest.
Referring to that?
Yeah, the question asked by Varun is that how frequently should you approach the social, how should your social approach be, how frequent should it be? Because after the first touch point, people lose interest.
So the way we guide this for the sales professional is that we first ask them to follow the relevant handles on Twitter. So like if you are in IT industry, then we will ask them to follow Gartner or Forrester or relevant handles which are related to the industry. In fact, there are various topic-wise handles like IoT, cloud computing, which they can follow. So once you do that, I know at the beginning it is very difficult to find out the content. In fact, it is very difficult to write even a tweet in the beginning. Even I faced that. So once you find out the relevant content and you share your point of view, or you retweet to them, or you share with the relevant audience, then you really get excited about it. So how people are engaging with you, with the tweets which you are sharing with them. So that can be one of the way to wherein you don't publish the content but you curate the content. Do you want to add anything?
Yeah, the other thing which is important is, it's almost, I always encourage people to take baby steps, because a lot of sales people are, a lot of people on the call might be very digitally savvy, but when you are actually talking to sales, you might not be very digitally savvy. So it's very important for them to see some quick wins. So basic things like just retweeting somebody's content or saying, great thought, very, very innocuous, polite conversations. And when somebody else starts engaging with them and they see that this works, then they become really interested.
Okay. Right.
And just to add, one of the other way can be to use LinkedIn Pulse. So if you have your point of view, you can publish anything which can reach out to your connections, any business topic. And the other thing is you can cross market it. So you can market it on other platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. So definitely you will come back again and again to see how many views you have got, how many comments have you got. And one of the very good channel which is emerging in today's world is Quora. So I found, I recently joined Quora, and it's a great content provider, and you not only publish the content but also you can curate a lot of content from Quora.
Yeah, yeah. That's so true, because we find Quora extremely useful for us as well. So I agree with you on that. So there's one more question from Varun again. So this is, so after you break the ice with social activities, do you carry on talking to that prospect on social media, or do you log your social activities in a CRM?
So ideal way would be to log in the activities to the social CRM, but that is a very high level of maturity if any organization is following.
Okay.
Because generally, there are very few tools which allows, and there is a huge amount of investment in terms of time which is required to log your activities to socials to the CRM system.
Yeah.
So why is this useful? Because if the person leaves, the other person can carry on the conversation. So it's not a person specific. So organization should also get the benefit of continuity.
That is true. But once a relationship is formed, I think the relationship is formed between the person and the between two people, not between organizations typically. So typically when someone leaves, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's just that what happens is, because most sellers also have the organization name on it. So yeah, most of the relationship is formed with the person.
Okay.
But that whole soft brand which is created for the organization doesn't go away.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. So let me take an example. So if someone is providing you a service, let's take an example of Flipkart through Twitter, and that person is not only individually connecting with you, but also the person is representing Flipkart. So you will definitely talk about it with your friend, and you will talk about Flipkart. So organization image is definitely created.
Okay. Okay. Right. So there's one more question by Bindu. Is it possible to link social selling to specific ideas? Will its essence be lost then? Is it possible to link social selling to specific ideas? So will its essence be lost then?
It is possible to link it to a specific idea. However, what one should be careful about is like in real life, as soon as you meet a person, you will not start selling to them. So you might want to share an idea or a thought or a proposition or details about your product or service. Don't start doing it as soon as you interact with them on social media.
Okay.
So get time to know them, appreciate their views, exchange information and banter with them on topics of their interest, and then it's a perfectly fair game to bring up something which is of your interest.
Okay. Right. I agree. So there's a question by Magarandan Bindu that can actually be a continuation to this. So what are the threats involved in social media marketing? And do you think that it is social selling is much more effective over traditional methods?
So that's what our data and our experience shows. I think what all of us need to realize is it is not an either or.
Okay.
So social selling is not going to replace traditional selling. You will still have to walk the corridor. You will still have to meet people. You will still have to negotiate with them on the pricing. It is just a booster shot on traditional selling.
Okay.
If you do social selling well, it is going to ramp up your traditional selling magnificently.
Okay.
Because, you really don't expect somebody to buy a $50 million, $100 million deal on Twitter.
Okay, correct. So maybe breaking the ice and getting the trust and building a relationship can happen digitally, can happen online, while the other
Absolutely.
aspect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the harder aspect of actually closing the deal will happen offline. So it will be something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So guys.
So the first part.
Yeah. Please tell me.
Form a relationship, engage, understand that person happens on social media, and then you actually meet in person and take that relationship. Like a lot of people who are connected to me on Twitter or Facebook, including people from agencies, they first found me on Twitter or on Facebook. They followed me on Facebook. We started talking, and now we've met in person. With some of them, we're doing a business together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So then what happens if your audience is not on social media, like most of your audience is not on social media? What happens then?
Okay. So give me an example. So yeah, if you're selling to, say, very poor, impoverished farmers in Andhra Pradesh, then social selling is not for you.
Okay, right.
But everybody is on some kind of social media, at least in urban and semi-urban areas.
Yes.
So right from 6-year-olds to 60-year-old grannies,
Yeah.
we have all kinds of people, and it's not really specific to IT services or B2B, but in consulting and food blogging, we did a master class in Delhi a month ago, which was attended by about 200 people. We had everybody from people selling lathe machines to manufacturing units, like who are in manufacturing, to food bloggers, to architects, to lawyers, to startup CEOs who are looking for funding. So if you really get social selling well, you will be able to leverage it, across streams.
Okay, right. So Vijay is giving us some examples of people who are not on social media. For example, L&D heads, business heads, HR, training. But I think these people are online. Don't you think so?
Yeah. In fact, I'll give you a hashtag. Go on Twitter and search for iHR chat. I for India, HR chat. It's run by a friend of mine, Professor Tanvi Gautam. She runs it from Singapore. And just use this hashtag. You will get a lot of L&D heads, HR, CHROs. In fact, I've done a couple of master classes for them on employee branding, on how do you build a social media brand for the company. And a lot of, whether it's Adil Malaya or it's Prithvi Shergill or it's Anand Pillai, a lot of L&D heads and CHROs are on social media.
Okay, right. Okay.
So if somebody is interested in a list for these people, you can just tweet at me and I'm happy to share it.
Okay. So guys, please keep that in mind. If you do have any questions, you can always reach out to Apurv or Gaurav over Twitter, and they'll get back to you on that. So there's one more question by Makarand. It's actually a continuation of his previous question. What precautions to be taken while going digital with your social selling?
Okay, so we have a list of what need not be done, which includes the first thing even we spoke about. Don't bombard your prospect with so many messages in case they are not replying back to you.
Okay.
And don't go to the sales pitch. In fact, we tell our sales team that do not use the brand name in your Twitter or LinkedIn profile, because you are present and you are present on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn, and it's your responsibility to represent yourself. And also, if you put in the LinkedIn company's name into the LinkedIn profile, so it also destroys the brand image of the company. So you shouldn't be using the brand name of the company within the name of the profile.
So never create a profile which says, say, Joe Pepsi.
Okay.
Because you might move on, and then it becomes a problem. Mention it in your descriptor. Don't put it in the handle. A lot of people are guilty of that.
And also don't talk anything negative about your competitors in any industry on social media, because it is again considered to be unfair. And you shouldn't talk about the confidential information about the company, like the project you have won, the size of the deal, or who are the competitors. So never ever disclose all this confidential information.
So what I would say is, the simple thumb rule is never do on social media what you would not do in real life. Just because social media gives you a veneer of anonymity and you can sit in your living room does not mean you become disagreeable, rude. So I think all of us should watch out for that. The same etiquettes apply.
Okay, so this recalls something that I read somewhere. It says, will you do this if your mom is watching? If you don't, then you shouldn't post it on social media. So
I love that. We should give it a name, the mom test.
Okay.
Go through the mom test.
Okay. So there's a question by Bindu. How do we recognize buying signals real time?
That's an excellent question. In fact, we speak about it at length in our book. When you are actually following people and you've put alerts, like I'll give you a simple example. On Twitter, you can put notifications on anybody's handle. So I'm the head of marketing at HCL. Say somebody is from an advertising agency or a creative development or a digital media marketing agency, and they put a notification on my Twitter handle. Every time I tweet, they will get an alert, and it will not get submerged in the feed. When they get an alert, if they continue seeing, and if they see I'm talking about, what's the future of VR, virtual reality, or I just saw this 360 film and it's very interesting, or something which is a new development on search engine optimization. And if they start engaging and then they suddenly realize I'm actually talking about, so buying signals are two kinds. They're either stated buying signals which says that I'm looking for a vendor or I'm currently very unhappy with the level of service I'm getting from my current vendor. And then there are unstated or subliminal buying signals, which tells you what is the person thinking about. If a lot of my tweets are about VR, virtual reality, it's obvious that there's something going on in my mind which is causing me to either tweet about it or write about it. So I think sellers should be conscious about both stated and unstated signals.
Yeah. So one of the things which can be done is, so let's take an example of a pool. What can be done is, you might have heard about word cloud. So copy paste the tweets of an individual in a word cloud software, and you will definitely get some of the words which are really dominating. So that can give you a signal of mind.
That's a great idea, Gaurav.
Thank you. I just got it now.
Nice. So there's one more question from Bindu again. So she says is sometimes the ROI that we see is not immediate, which means that people tend to abandon this practice. So, and generally in startup companies, this might happen quite often. What do you advise then?
So it's not a problem of startup. In fact, this is a big challenge for a big organization like HCL also. So we always say that for any program, it's very important to keep people excited about the program. So one of the ways is chain management. So you should definitely think about our chain management approach in parallel to execution of your program. So like what we did, we created simple weekly contest when we launched the program. Like who's the person who is getting maximum connection in a week? Who's the person who is posting original content in a week? So we came up with a various kind of cuts through which every time, anyone would be exceeding, we motivated them, yes, you are doing a brilliant job, and that really motivates people. So
what I would also say, specifically in startups where everything is about quick ROI action, what you really need to do is, if you read our book, there are a series of growth hacks described, and there are ways to do things very efficiently. So that's something which you should think about.
Yeah, so very cost-effective ways. You need not even, so one of the things which we have taken into consideration while mentioning the ideas in the book is that the person need not invest a lot on the various tools. So all the tools are free, so you can follow some of the tricks which have been mentioned in the book.
Okay. So there's a question from Akshay. Do you think it's wise to ask for the prospects other connections to reach out? If so, how do you think you can initiate this approach? Okay, I'll repeat the question.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, I shall repeat the question.
Yeah.
So this is the question from Akshay. He wants to know if it is wise to reach out to other prospects for asking for connections. Like ask a prospect you're in touch with. Okay.
Not unless you have a relationship, and definitely I get a lot of requests. It should definitely not be, these are 10 people, can you introduce me to all of them or some of them?
Okay.
It should be very specific, which means I want to be introduced to, say, somebody called Jayant in Coca-Cola, say who's the marketing director. This is my proposition for him. I think it will be very useful for Jayant. Would you kindly mind introducing me to him?
Okay.
If for some reason you find yourself unable to do so, it's perfectly okay. Thanks in advance.
Okay.
What should definitely not be done is you're using one prospect to do large-scale mass, non-customized, non-individualized prospecting towards others.
Okay.
So we have 2 more minutes to go. So any last question?
So
We can
guys,
take 2 more.
yeah, I think we can take 2 more questions. So there is a question by Hitesh. How do you align social selling with traditional selling methods?
So like Apoor mentioned, it's not the substitute of traditional way of selling. It's something complementary.
Yeah.
So like if you are going to approach an individual, it's always important to at least check the social presence of an individual. Like most of us look into the LinkedIn profile even before going. That is a very simple way to know about the prospect. But definitely there are other ways which you can definitely get in detail once you go through the book.
Okay. So Makarand has tried actually ordering your book through the link you have shared, and he feels that there's an error apparently. I don't know if...
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely thanks for letting us know, and we will definitely check with the publisher. It shouldn't happen.
Okay. So one more last question by Amrita. Should we take paid marketing in social media?
Yes, so paid media can be leveraged in case you feel that relevant audience is present and you want to spread across your message. In fact, within HCL, we also use a lot of LinkedIn paid media to reach out to prospect, and we did a multi-channel attribution last year where we found that there is a positive contribution of LinkedIn and other channels to reach out.
So what you can actually do is if you're using GA Premium, Google Analytics Premium, or other software which allows you to do attribution, it makes your job easier.
Okay.
Because attribution is always going to be...
And
Okay.
it is always useful to convince the management to spend more on digital.
Okay. I shall take that like that. Okay.
in our industry, in digital marketing, digital media, we're always selling both internally and externally.
Okay. That's true though.
But
So-
we have been fortunate. We have a pool who is inclined to digital media, and that's the good part.
Okay. That's true. So how do you fix a budget for that actually, for social marketing?
Okay, so I think we need a separate session for that in case you are interested in social.
Okay.
But yeah, we can actually, maybe, if there's a lot of interest, we can actually do another session which is just around campaign thinking. On how do you define campaign objectives, how do you set budgets, how do you decide allocation between various channels,
Yeah.
and finally how do you do attribution and ROI measurement.
Okay. Right. So yeah, we shall get talking about that soon. So, well, that's about it. Yeah, so I think we're running out of time. So, so thank you guys though for taking the session. We had a very, very interesting session here, and I hope the audience you'll agree with us on that. And please let us know your questions. We will take them soon. And don't worry, people who you think you have missed out on slides or something, we'll share a video recording of the session shortly. So watch out for that. We shall also be sharing a blog post on that, on the questions that we have asked, so you can also look at them at your leisure. So we'll see you for the next webinar. Thank you so much for joining this one. This was amazing. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Apurva and Gaurav, for making it. Thank you.